To get more into this subject, we're joined by a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, Ariel Cohen. Good to have you back with us. The UAE appears to be hosting some of the most constructive talks that we've seen, maybe ever, perhaps at least in a long time. Look, what kind of role or impact do they have as hosts?
First of all, you're right. These are the first direct talks between a Ukrainian delegation and a Russian delegation face to face, with American presence, with American intermediaries and the UAE host. We saw the images of Sheikh bin Zayed in the footage. Secondly, I hope and pray that this is an indication that the conflict is closer to its resolution, although I still have my doubts. The conflict management by the United States, by two real estate developers, Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner, suggests that President Trump goes sort of out of the box for solutions, and to him and his associates, Kushner and Witkoff, this is sort of like resolving a real estate problem. Whereas for Russia, for example, and I am a lifelong scholar of Russia and did work on the conflict even before it exploded in 2022. For Russia, it's a whole different issue. It's not about real estate. It is about changing the balance of power in Europe in Russia's favor. By that, shifting the balance of power in the Eastern Hemisphere, having Russia and China becoming two predominant powers in Eastern Hemisphere. And we now are seeing Mr. Trump's policy of disengagement from Europe, withdrawing from the Eastern Hemisphere, and sort of recapping, reinventing the Monroe Doctrine, leaving the United States as the leading power in the Western Hemisphere.
Well, along those lines, I want to get your thoughts on this.
Greenland.
The U.S. appetite for this conflict, I'll frame it that way. It appears to be, the growing narrative appears to be that that's at odds with the primary European views on how this goes. How consequential is this? Are we at a bit of a fork in the road for, how the sides, what kind of support is going into this conflict against Russia?
Absolutely. So under Biden, I do agree with President Trump. If Trump were president, or let me put it this way, if Biden wasn't a president, if we had a more capable and more aggressive U.S. president, probably the conflict in 2022 could have been avoided. Don't forget, Russian invasion of Ukraine started in 2014 when the proxies took over the Donbass, the area in eastern Ukraine. Today, Mr. Trump is disengaging from Europe. He floated the idea of U.S. leaving NATO. Then he said U.S. is staying in NATO, but he really wants the Europeans come to bat and pay much more. And he's succeeding in that for the military expenses. Secondly, the EU, the European Union, is about 10 times more capable economically, $25 trillion of GDP versus Russia's $2.5 trillion, and also 4+ times bigger in terms of the population, over 400 million people versus Russia, 130, 140 million on a good day. And what is lacking here is the lack of leadership, the lack of commitment, the lack of desire to confront Russia. And this is what causes Ukraine to pay such a high price, with people being bombed, people being frozen in the middle of winter. And by the way, the crowd that we saw demonstrating about Gaza is nowhere to be seen.
Meanwhile, as you allude to here, Russia really not letting up at all. Heavy strikes reported, really going after the power grid in the deep of winter here in Ukraine. So as far as we can tell, nothing's really cooled off, so to say, on the war front here. Ariel Cohen, thanks for being with us on this subject as it evolves.
Thank you.